Okay, so my second presentation, and this was the presentation that I was asked for in the first place, is about what's going on at the Rijkswaterstaat and also in the Netherlands with regard to procurement policy and best value approach in particular. So if the technique is helping us, we will start the presentation. We have some problems today with the technique. Well, I'm just going to start. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Rijkswaterstaat. Rijkswaterstaat is a government agency, and as was stated out, we are part of the Ministry of Transport. And doesn't work. And we have about 9,000 people working in my office, and we are founded in 1798. So we have a very old. Thank you very much, Lucas. So we have a very old agency, and the things that were happening in the last few years were that the government, when I started working at the Rijkswaterstaat back in 2001, we had 14,000 employees, and right now we have about 8,000. And over these years, so the government has became smaller and smaller and smaller. Easier, so you can read. So this is what I'm going to tell. A little bit about the Rijkswaterstaat. A little bit about the history in the Netherlands, and then a look ahead. So I was telling you this, and our annual budget is actually higher because 4 to 5 billion euros is what we spend on building projects, and then we also spend 4 to 5 billion euros on maintenance of projects. So we spend a lot of money. And what's happened is that we are handing over more work to the contractors. So in my next slides, I will elaborate on this. The contractors have become more and more important for Rijkswaterstaat because they are doing more work. So this is what happened in the construction, or at the Rijkswaterstaat in the construction industry. So back in the 80s, and I was still a little boy at that time, we had what we called ARI contracts. And ARI means design, bid, build. So it means you have the contract is all written out by either the client itself or the engineering firm that was hired by the client. And it was product-based, and we went low price. And from what I understand from Tomáš, I think that's the current system in the Czech Republic, what I understood. So back in 1980s, we were there as Rijkswaterstaat. But then there were some things that happened. In the 90s, we started with some big infrastructural projects and tunnels and other objects. We started experimenting with more integral contracts, such as design-build. And we had our first pilots in the 90s. And as these pilots evolved, we made what we call the UAVGC, which is, I think, an equivalent, but I looked to Jaap, I'm not very good at this, of the FIDIC Red Book or the FIDIC, Yellow Book, sorry. It's not my expertise. So we developed our own standard, and it was actually negotiated between all the parties that are involved in the construction industry. So the governments were there, the engineering firms, the contractors, and they all agreed about this standard, and also about certain risk allocation, and then this standard was set. And ever since 2000, I think it has been used extensively in the construction industry. So almost every client in the construction industry that is working with design build is using these administration. And we also started the quality assurance. As I told you, back in the 1980s, we had a lot of personnel at Rijkswaterstaat, and they were looking at the work the contractors they were doing. So the contractor, he was pouring his asphalt, and next to him was someone from Rijkswaterstaat looking if he was doing it right? We call it a kantonier. And because we were becoming smaller, we didn't have the capacity to do that anymore. So in the 90s, we changed, and we introduced the quality assurance. So we were actually asking our contractors to have a good quality system, and we do some audits still. We audit their quality system, so we know that they have a good process, but we don't audit the products anymore. So that's also a development that we already started, I think, in the end of the 90s and the beginning of 2000. So the year 2002, that was an important year. Well, there was the World Cup in Japan and Korea. I don't know if the Czech Republic, were they in there? Do you remember? No, they were not. The Dutch were in there, but they were really bad. They lost in the qualifying round, so was sort of bad, a little bit like now. And we had a parliamentary inquiry commission because there was a big scam in the Netherlands. There was it was found out by a TV program. There was massive bid rigging by the contractors, and there was one person that stepped forward, and he had a whole administration. It was called a shadow administration, and he handed it over to this media program, and this became really big in the Netherlands. So our government, they instigated the Parliamentary Inquiry Commission. And this, I think I have a picture of this. This is the inquiry. This is like interrogations, right? It's also all the contractors, they had to come and they had to sit in little benches like that. And the civil servants had to sit there and they had to ask questions, and it was all taped and everyone could see it. It was broadcasted on TV. And this was really big. And there were, from this Parliamentary Inquiry Committee, there were several important recommendations. And one of their recommendations was leave the low price system behind and go evaluate price and quality. Another recommendation was use more integrated contract forms. So these recommendations, I think, are very important in what happened next in the Netherlands, because of this scam there was a sense of urgency to change the way we were doing procurement. And everyone realized that we needed to do things differently. But before that there was collusion, corruption, relationships everywhere. And maybe that's a little bit the situation right now in the Czech Republic from what I've heard, speaking to some people. So that's very important, I think, in the history in the Netherlands, the year 2002. And I've already told you about the compact government. And these two developments, they really caused Rijkswaterstaat to change. Because I have some business plans that we wrote over the years here. And as you can see, we went for more quality with less people. And we started relying more on the market. Our motto in the previous business plan even was market unless. So as much as we could, we wanted to give it to the market. We started doing the performance-based contract in maintenance. That was a major issue. And we also started engineering and construct and design and construct. That's what we started with. And in 2008, so that was way before the Dutch procurement law was ever written up, Rijkswaterstaat started doing meat on most of its projects. So, and we also started in 2008 with the PPP projects, design, build, finance, maintain projects. And right now, more or less all large projects in the Netherlands that are larger than, say, 65 or 100 million euros, they are PPP projects. And that's not my expertise. If you want to know something about that, maybe you should talk to him or some other expert. But that's what's happening. So, and then, of course, and Jaap has explained this, in 2013 we had the procurement law, which basically said that all the government agencies should use meat. So what we've experienced since then is that all the municipalities and everyone is thinking about, what should I do now? And they come to us to try to help them to find a way to do meat. So that's what happened in the Netherlands. And really what you should remember, I think, is that if you want to make a change, you have, I think, a very long period of time, perhaps 10 years in front of you, to come to the point where we stand right now as Rijkswaterstaat or the Netherlands. It's taken us 10 years, so I think that's sort of the time frame you have to think in when you start changing from a low price environment towards a more best value environment, I guess. So that's an important message I want to give to you. So now a little bit about best value in the Netherlands. And in 2002, Kashiwagi was already in our country, and he was coordinating with the Ministry of Housing. And in fact, it was a large contractor in the Netherlands, and they're called Heijmans, and they were the ones that brought him over. And they started attending the annual conference, which is in Arizona, and Jaap and I, we visited the conference. And Heijmans started funding research in best value. And then what we saw in 2007, there was a small firm called Center. They become a Dutch platform. And then what happened in 2009, and that was me, we started the largest best value pilot in the world. And I'm going to show you some slides about that later on. But that was a major breakthrough in the Netherlands for the best value approach, because now we did it with a very large project, and it was also a big success. So that accelerated the implementation of best value in the Netherlands. And also we made, or Jeroen did that, he wrote a Dutch book, like I showed you. And then we got the Dutch Purchasing Association, the Navy got involved. They started doing training. And now in 2013 we've actually founded the Dutch Best Value Association. So we think, we are really moving forward in the best value approach. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the breakthrough project. And the breakthrough project was the fast track program. And this was a road investment program. And you can see the map. That is the Netherlands. I hope you know that. And as you can see, the majority of the projects, they are in the center and the west of the Netherlands. That is the most densely populated area of the Netherlands, where the most traffic is and also the most traffic congestion. So we had this minister, and he's called Camille Eurlings, and he started, when did he start? I don't remember, 2008, 2009. And our ministers, they get appointed for four years. I think it's the same here in the Czech Republic, right? Only you had 8 ministers in the last 7 years, I heard, but usually they last for 4 years, I think, in the Netherlands. So he was appointed, and he was a very ambitious man. And he said, within my period, I want these 30 projects resolved. Now, that was never heard of, because usually it takes 2 to 3 years to get a spatial decision, and then it takes time to build. So as Rijkswaterstaat, we all got gray hairs. How on earth are we going to do this? So we had to come up with a plan. And so a colleague of mine, we developed a procurement strategy, and what we did is that we, some processes, we run them parallel, like the spatial decision process and the design-build process, we put them parallel. And we also introduced best value procurement as a means for contractors to mitigate the risks that we had. Because if we were going to deliver this goal, we needed experts, and we needed to accelerate, and we needed risk mitigation. So we really pushed forward this best value idea. And I still remember I was in the room with my boss, and he said to me, Wiebe, and Carlita, she was the other one, he says, I have no idea what you're doing, but you're smart people, you just go ahead. And because there was no alternative at the time. So it was kind of a unique circumstance, I would say, because who on earth would try a political project, 500 million euros, for the first time with best value? I wouldn't recommend the Czech government to start with such a project, but we were in maybe the lucky circumstances that we could. And this is what happened in the end. The program became a large success. And you could see me in the picture, and I'm looking very happy because I just won the Dutch Sourcing Awards for the best procurement effort in 2012. And you can see Jeroen, who's not here today, and my boss, Kees Brandse, and Carlita. And you can read the results. I mean, the results, they were staggering. They were unheard of. So we were really successful, and it was very good for the image of Rijkswaterstaat and also very good for the minister. Unfortunately, they also didn't finish their period, and he was actually moved out of his office before he could celebrate the success. So maybe the same problem. Anyway, so these are some quotes you can find from the contractors. They were really happy about it, and they realized, the contractors, they realized if they don't understand the risks of the project, you are never going to win. So I have some more slides. I told you this. So we actually reduced the transaction cost by 50%. We had 6 contractors awarded, and it only took us 5 months, whereas at that time it took us about a year to award a design-build contract. So we accelerated it by 50%. And the transaction costs for the vendors, they went down. And we had earlier project delivery, so it was a big success. So what's happening right now in the Netherlands, what we see is that there are a lot of organizations that are adopting the best value approach. Not only Rijkswaterstaat, but other public clients, municipalities, other ministries. Even in the healthcare sector, we see application of best value approach, which is also very interesting. And we see the role of the purchasing organization is very important. They're a very large procurement association. And actually all the goals that we set in 2012, we have reached them. So we've done all this. Well, at Rijkswaterstaat at the same time, we are expanding our projects. We started the engineering services and the design-build contracts. And this is what we did. We delivered around 19 projects, over almost €1 billion. And what we're doing for the next few years is that this is what we did in the last few years. I'm going to speed up a little bit. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about the results we achieved. And Jaap was telling about that the highest quality scores, and you saw 40% or maybe 50%. In 50% of the cases, at the regular meat projects, we award to the vendor that has the highest quality. Well, if we look at the best value, we see that in 80% of the cases, so that's twice as much as in the regular meat, the vendor with the highest quality wins. And in the last 2 years, so in 2014 and 2015, 100% of the cases, the vendor with the best value won the award. So that means you can only win the contract if you have the highest quality. That's pretty interesting, I think. So that's what we achieve with the best value. Now, does that mean that the prices go up? No, it does not, because what we also saw that is that the bids of the winner are average 15% below the average of the other bidders. So what you actually see here is that high quality and low price, they go hand in hand. Which is really interesting, because that's exactly what we wanted, right? And if you think about this, it's actually kind of logical, because I don't know if any one of you knows Edward Deming, and he's the founding father of the Plan, Do, Check, Act circle, right? And he also stated that if you invest in quality, in the end, prices will go down. So I think that's what we're seeing, that's what we're experiencing right now in the Netherlands. And that's what best value truly delivers. So did we have any litigation for the lawyers? One quote we always like to make is that confusion is their marketplace, right? Lawyers, they love confusion. Because if there's confusion, we're going to need them to figure out how it was. Well, we had one protest. It was against the way we assessed the bids, and the judge said we motivated it correctly, so we won this protest. And I think right now, but you'd have to ask Jaap or contractors, I think this way of doing assessments right now is it's very much accepted by the contractors and the engineering firms in the Netherlands. So why do we apply best value? Because Rijkswaterstaat, we had a lot of problem with fighting contracts, with low price awards. We were just, in the break, we were discussing some PPP projects where we are fighting with the contractors over claims, and the claims are too high, and it takes a lot of resources and discussion, and even contractors are almost going out of business because they took on risks that they really could not bear. So, and we are also enthusiastic because we are focusing on the risk, on the client risk, and that is something that's very important for us as a client, that our client risks are mitigated. And it forces the vendors to take the interest of the client, and that's also very important. So we think best value is just a way to organize your supply chain in a more efficient and a more logical way. Okay. Well, just to show you how long it took and also for best value to get adopted in the Netherlands. So we started back in 2002 and 2008, and I took this picture from Jeffrey Moore. It's called Crossing the Chasm. And then we had the early adopters, which was, for instance, the fast track program I just showed you. And then we had the big scary chasm, as it's called, where you try to cross the gap. And I think in the Netherlands, also due to the purchasing organization and others, we have managed to come across this gap. And now we are in the early majority, and what we see is the best value projects, they are increasing and increasing, and it's becoming more and more popular. So the drivers for adoption, in general, low bid tendering led to frustration, and outsourcing by public clients, and also budget cuts. Those were, I think, drivers for adopting the best value approach in the Netherlands. And in construction, in particular, the parliamentary enquiry committee was important, and the move towards integrated contracts. And also very important, I think, is a successful project. The fast track program has really helped us to advocate this way of doing procurement. So that's also very important. And you need, as Lukáš pointed out, you need a small group of visionary people who really believe this and who can educate the other persons. And I think that's also a main driver for success. We have a small group of people in the Netherlands, and they are really pushing this effort forward. And that has really helped. So I think I totally agree with you, Lukáš, that is really important. So where are we going at in 2015 and beyond? Well, actually next week we have the third Best Value Conference in the Netherlands, and we're going to present all our best cases. We have started cooperating with ProRail. ProRail is the railway asset manager. So they're like a sister organization for Rijkswaterstaat, and we are actually integrating our best value teams together. We have a lot of certified individuals in the Netherlands right now. We are disseminating the knowledge, and what we also see is that where we started in the procurement silo, we're now moving towards risk management and project management, because we also think in the execution phase of the project, it's very important that you deliver your project in a different way, and that you really release control of the vendors. So actually we're talking to IPMA, which is the Project Management Association, and I forget the other one, the RISNet is the Risk Management Association in the Netherlands, and we're talking to them, and they're also starting to move forward under the umbrella of the Dutch Best Value Association. And another trend I hope to see in the coming years is that our contractors are also going to use best value in their supply chain, because our contractors, they do a lot of procurement. Actually 80% of the work they do, they procure in third parties. And what we hope to see is that they're also going to change the way they contract, because that's mainly based on low price still, I think. So that's also one of the things I hope to see in the next few years. I think I'm going to an end. Skip this one. Yeah, so what are the lessons learned going to Good Lunch? I think best value works in the context of European legislation. I think Mr. Fiedler explained to us, and I totally agree with him, that if you have the right process, this thing can work in the European legislation. And we have shown that in the Netherlands we have over, I think, 400 projects, and at Rijkswaterstaat more than 30 projects, and this works. So that's not a problem. It forces the tenderers to keep the goals in mind, so that's a good thing, goal alignment. But you need a paradigm change, and one of the things that I showed you in this presentation, this is going to take a long time. You cannot change the paradigm, the way you're doing business, you cannot change it from one day to the other. So you need to move slowly, but you need to move forward. And you need to have a plan to change the way you do business. So this is going to take a lot of effort, I think. And at Rijkswaterstaat we found out we have a small core team, which I'm the leader of, and we are really training all the people in Rijkswaterstaat, and I think that's very necessary. And also the same goes for the contractors and the engineering firms. They should train themselves as well, and that's also what we see. And yes, training, communication, training. I cannot say that enough. So I'm telling this story maybe, I don't know, 25 or 30 times per year. And I cannot tell it enough. So I think this training is essential. So that's it for this presentation. This is my discussion statement.
Okay.
Open for questions, I guess.
Wiebe, thank you very much.
Been talking a lot, so
I would love to ask you before we start with the lunch. I want to ask you if you could stress what we discussed yesterday. When you assess the bids by meet, you select the winning bidder. In 5 days, what do? You meet with all the bidders that lost,
yes,
and you explain them transparently why they did not succeed. This is for me amazing that you...
So what we do, and of course we have to do that, we write up a motivation. So let's say we gave them a 2 or we gave them a 10, so you have to motivate. And then what we do after we send them out, they have 20 days to go into appeal, right? At least in Holland it is. I think that's everywhere, I guess. And within these 20 days, we invite all the offers and we sit with them for an hour and explain to them why they lost or why they won. And what we found out is that the more transparent you are, the less chance you have of litigation. Because if you have nothing to hide, why are they going to go to court, right? So we think that was really helpful. And when we started this in the fast track program, and there were procurement people saying, no, you shouldn't talk to the contractors because if you give them too much information, they will sue you. But it turned out that it worked the other way around. So
it sounds like great inspiration for us. Okay, dámy a pánové, máte nějaké otázky? Určitě bych vás vyzval, já vím, že už se těšíte na oběd.
Pavel Růžička, Hoktiv. Já bych se chtěl zeptat, vlastně, kdo stojí vůbec v tom panelu vlastně té hodnotící komise, co je to za lidi, jaká je jejich profese, jakoby, kdo vlastně to ohodnocuje celkově. Děkuji.
So question was who are in the committee. Well, the best value answer would be that it really doesn't matter who would be in the committee. I mean, I could take 5 people from the street and they would have to reach the same conclusion as 5 people that are maybe sitting behind this chair. But what we do in the projects, and that also has to do with draagvlak, you want to win the project people for the best value approach. So we found out that the 5 top roles of the project, which are the project manager, the technical manager, the environmental manager, the manager project controls, we let them do the assessment. And of course, they have some knowledge of the projects, which might even hinder the assessment. But that's why we as best value experts, we always sit with them. So, and we lead the discussion and we prevent them from using their expertise. But we use the project team so they also buy into the best value approach, you know what I mean? Because if I would use 5 other people, then the project team would say, I'm not comfortable with this results. So that's the main reason why we use the project team to assess the bids. But we always sit there as best value experts to make sure that it's done right.
You mean project team in your company, on the
client side? The project team on the client side, yes.